Hey, what's up guys, welcome back. Today we're going to be doing a video on mistakes that many people make as a tank, or many people think of when they're going as a tank. So first I'm going to explain the perks and disadvantages of a tank. So a tank, so you have a few class passives. They have Protective Barrier, which gives 30% less damage. So also when they go below 50% HP, they get a 10% absorption shield. This is pretty good. It's 30% less damage, and when they start to lose HP, which it's 50%, so it's not even that low, they get absorption, which can just keep them alive for that extra 5 seconds that maybe the archer needs to kill the mini boss. So that class passive will help a lot when it comes to being a tank. They also have another class passive, Taunt, which makes it so that they have more chance of mobs attacking them when they're above 25 HP. So this will make it so that your teammates who don't have as much EHP as you, so if, for example in Master Mode, when it really matters, won't be there's less chance of the mob hitting them, and there's more chance of the mob hitting you as a tank, which is what you should be doing. Also, so there's another class passive, a Diversion. So 80%, which is a lot of damage, but 80% of the damage taken by your teammates is diverted to you, right? If they're within a 30 block range of you. So there is a few problems with this. It's a bit buggy. For example, if your teammate gets one shot by an FA, for example, yeah, if 80% of the damage that FA did to your teammate still one shots him, then you'll get one shot, no matter how much EHP you have. So there are a few bugs going around right now. So it's better to just tank for yourself, like for you to be the tank, and just take the damage instead of diverting damage from your teammates, because there's a few bugs. So yeah. And also, the last class passive is it gives you anti-KB. This means that things like the Dwarf Turtle Helmet are pointless. So if you're only going to be running dungeons as a tank, I would recommend not using a Dwarf Turtle Helmet and using something which gives you EHP or damage, because the Dwarf Turtle Helmet doesn't do anything as you already get immunity to KB. And then there's the abilities. So there's the Seismic Wave, which does 20k, and then plus 10% per 50 defense to like the enemies in its path. It's a bit like a Yeti sword. So it'll throw the ground up and do like a Midas staff thing. So it's like a Yeti sword and a Midas staff put together. The cooldown is pretty short. It's only 15 seconds, so you can spam it, but it doesn't do that much damage. So I would recommend only using it to maybe clear some mobs in front of you and do some damage to them. Then there's another class ability, which it's called Castle Stone. It got changed in the recent update of Master Mode, so that instead of giving you immunity, now gives you 70% damage. It now gives you 70% damage reduction, and all the mobs within 10 blocks aggro you. The cooldown, as it's the super ability, is 150 seconds, which means you can use it approximately 2 times a run. But when you go into the boss room, the cooldown is automatically made so that you can use it. So you should be able to use it 2 times in a run, or 3 times. It really depends on how long your run takes. If you're doing like F7s in 5 minutes, then you're not going to be able to use it as much as if you're doing like 20-minute M5s. So it all depends on like how fast you're doing your runs. So that's the tank class explained. So here are some like mistakes that lots of tanks make, or people who are switching to tanks think. Most people, when they switch to tank, think they're going to be invincible and not be able to die. This, on the other hand, is actually not true. When fighting a mini boss in M1, I was dying because my teammates were taking damage. When your teammates take damage, you take a lot of it for them. So you want to make sure that your teammates aren't taking the damage and you are, because you'll take less damage if it's just you. Also, another thing is, even if you're alone, you still need to get your last steal. You can't stand in front of a mini boss and deal infinite damage. I mean, and have infinite health. So even even if you think you're invincible, you're not. You still need to lifesteal, and even with lifesteal, you can die. So I would recommend not switching to tank if you think that it's going to make you invincible. Though, if you're already a tank, make sure you stand next to the person with the lowest EHP. I see sometimes the tank is standing next to our berserker, who has 700k EHP, and not standing next to me and the other mage, who only have, at the start of a run, about 80k EHP. This is a big problem, because for me, doing F6s, because I'm not a high enough cat level to do other runs, for me doing F6s, by the way, I'm cat 26, doing F6s is, when I'm doing F6s, obviously, 700k EHP from a berserker is way more than enough to tank everything, but the tank still feels like he needs to stand next to the berserker so he doesn't die. Whereas me and the other mage, we're going around and dying to much weaker mobs, like skeleton masters or skeletal primes, who take us by surprise. The tank must always stay with like the archers or any of the lower EHP players. Also, do not stand next to a healer. Make sure that there isn't a healer and a tank on one player. Make sure you spread out evenly. Either there's a tank or a healer, not both. But you also don't want none. So make sure you don't do any of that. Also, you want to always be using a living dagger. Something like a Shadow Fury or an FOT just won't cut it, as you don't get 100% crit chance. Most tanks who actually know how to play as a tank will be using the giant reforge on their armor, therefore getting no crit chance. With a living dagger, you're guaranteed 100% crit chance, so you can at least deal some damage. Whereas with a Shadow Fury or an FOT, you get none. So your crit chance will only be about 45 to 50. Unless you're going to take off the giant reforge and put on ancient, you'll have nearly no crit chance. But then you won't have the giant reforge, and that's what's going to make a tank better. Not only that, also living daggers have 100% attack speed. That'll be amazing for lifesteal, especially when it comes to Necron. When fighting Necron, you're not invincible. As a tank, you must stand in front of Necron and the Webmasters, take the damage where your teammates get the lasers. The problem is, as a tank, you'll still die. So you need to try and get as much lifesteal as possible. And when you're almost dead, do not switch to your ornate zombie sword. Whatever you do, you must switch to your either press Q or your drop button, or switch to your dungeon orb and use your ultimate ability, Cast of Stone, so as to take much less damage. If you're in a VC with your teammates, then get the healer to use Wish on you. That will make your HP go up, and you'll be able to carry on the fight with Necron. Moving on. So, as most tanks who actually do well in higher up floors will be using the giant reforge on their armor, you need to make sure that you're not using a baby yeti. A baby yeti is a very, very good pet and the best in a case of a berserker or a hype mage, as you get a lot of strength. But as a tank who gets 10,000 HP, the 20% HP and from the Archimedes ability on the legendary blue whale, and the extra defense per HP on the blue whale is going to help much more than strength to defense thing on a baby yeti. So make sure you're using a blue whale and not a baby yeti. Your EHP will skyrocket if you do so, and their costs are pretty much the same. I think a level 1 blue whale is about 20 million coins, whereas a level 1 baby yeti is about 16 million. But the EHP change is 100% worth it. Also, make sure as a tank that you're not standing there doing nothing. If you're standing there doing nothing, then you're of no use to the team. There are two jobs that a tank has. It's either to follow the mage, archer, or berserker who doesn't have much EHP/HP, yes, or to stand and do secrets. As a tank, never sit down and do nothing. If you want to go tank, I would advise knowing a lot of secrets and having solvers. Personally, I use FBE, but other mods like chat triggers will work well. If you see, I have all the solvers here, which means I'm of use to the team, and I know how to do most secrets. If you don't know how to do secrets and you don't have solvers, and you fail puzzles, then all you are is a liability. yeah, Danke's mod is quite good too. Like Galaxy just said, if you're not to do secrets and you fail puzzles, then you're a liability to the team as a tank. Especially if you're going around with your liver dagger or whatever sword you use, liver dagger on top. If you go around clearing, you will also be of no use. A tank is not made to clear. As a tank, when I first started, I was clearing the rooms and I was taking like 4 hits to just kill one mob. I think I took like 10 hits to kill an undead skeleton on M1. So it's really not, you really shouldn't be trying to clear as a tank. A tank will never be able to clear as of the Reforge unless you are doing earlier floors and you use tank for just a slight bit more EHP. That is nearly all. Another big mistake that people do is having dupe tanks. Dupe tanks is good, but it's just better to have a tank and a healer. The healer will drastically help, especially in M6. M6 or normal floor 6. The terracotta phase is very hard if you do not have a good party or good gear, especially for a mage. If there's no healer or tank, they will die almost instantly. But with a healer and the tank will never die. He'll take all the damage for the healer and all the other players in your team, and will never die due to the healing circle. You must also make sure that you have a good party. The healer shouldn't be standing there doing nothing. He should always be spamming shift, which deploys the healing aura, which makes even me, without a tank, pretty much invincible. When I have very low EHP, as I'm wearing 3/4 Storm with shadow goggles. By the way, I'm using slash skull with SB as I got a wooden helmet. So the last thing I'm going to mention is when doing higher up floors, past floor 3 or 4, I would never, maybe floor 5, but I would never advise going tank just because you feel like more EHP. I've played with people who I join them and they're level 24 tank, for example, but they're wearing 3/4 SA with a zombie knight chest plate. You are taking 80% of all the other players' damage. You will never survive. It will not give you more EHP. Also, you are just making it so that other tanks won't join because they assume there's another tank. It would be much more beneficial for your team to have someone in Gold or a Necromancer Lord with a Reaper Mask or a Mendes Fedora than for you to be a tank, get a slight bit more EHP, die faster anyway because you take everyone's damage, and be wearing SA. So, that's all for this video. Hope you liked it. Thank you guys. Bye. Bye.